Hey guys, this is Miss Mo. We are on 1.4. It's about multiplying numbers. And remember, I know you can do this in your calculator very easy. It's just a bunch of pressing buttons. But your first test, you will not be able to use a calculator. There will be a block on it, so you have to be able to do things in your head. So I would suggest learning your multiplication charts or your multiplication facts, at least up to the nines. Like 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18, 9 times 3 is 27. Yeah, you get the point. Okay. So first, let's go ahead and talk about 0. Anything multiplied with 0 is going to give you 0. So underneath this multiplication chart, you can see 0 times 5 is 0. Well, 0 times 0 is 0. 57 times 0 is 0. 6 times 0 is 0. Times 9 is still 0. It doesn't matter whether there's 2 numbers or 3 numbers multiplying together. If one of them is a 0, you're going to equal 0. And then this last one is straight from your homework. It looks like I copy and pasted it. 3 times 4. Well, that's cool, that's 12, but who cares because it's times by a 0, so that would also be 0. So anytime you're multiplying by a 0, you get 0. And that multiply, you could see it as a little x, or now that we're a little grown, we might be using these little dots, okay? And then in the future, we might see some parentheses, or when we finally do get to type it in our calculator, we'll use the little multiply symbol on your calculator that looks like this. Okay, let's find the product of 8 times 6 times 8. Okay, product in math means multiply. So we're going to do 8 times 6. So first, 8 times 6. Let's see what that is. If we don't remember, you can add 8 in your head 6 times. Or you can count off your multiplication facts. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. Or if you wanted to look at it from this multiplication chart, you look for 8 on the top, 8. You look for 6 on the left, 6. And then you find where those two meet, and they met at 48. Or we can do it backwards. We can look for 6 on top, 6, and 8 on the left, and find where they meet, and it's still 48. Okay, so 8 times 6 is 48. But then we have to multiply by 8 again. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's multiply it by 8. This time I'm going to go up and down when I write it. 48 times 8. And then let's remember how to multiply this. You multiply 8 times 8, and that's 64. So you write down a 4, but then you carry that 6, kind of like when we were adding. And then now you don't say 6 plus 4. You go ahead and do the normal multiplication of the green numbers. 8 times 4. 8, 16, 24, 32. Then plus 6. So 8 times 4 is 32. But then you have to plus 6. 32 plus 6. 2 plus 6 is 8. 3 plus nothing is 3. So 48 times 8 is 384. Yay! Okay, let's do another one. This next one says find the product of 7, 5, and 8. And all of a sudden there's parentheses instead of those little X's. That's because that's a different symbol we can use. Okay, so let's multiply the first two together. 7 times 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. 7 times 5 is 35. But then we have to multiply it by 8. Darn. So this is when we say 35 times 8. I just wrote it up and down because now that there's 2 numbers in that 35, I need to write it up and down. This is how we learned it in like 3rd grade. Okay, let's multiply. 5 times 8 is 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. 40. So we write down a 0, but then you carry the 4. Okay, and then we do not add 4 plus 3. We add 4 to whatever the 3 times 8 is. So let's go. 3 times 8 is 8, 16, 20, 24. So 8 times 3 is this 24. But then you have to add that 4. So 4 times 4 is 8. So 28. So 35 times 8 is 280. So let's go over that again. You multiply the first 2 numbers. Then you take whatever you got from that. For the first example, we did 48. And then you multiply that 48 by the last number. 48 times 8, bam. For the second example, we did the same thing. We multiplied the first 2 numbers, 7 times 5, 35. Then we multiplied that 35 times the last number, but we had to go up and down like 4th grade. Okay, let's keep going. Let's practice our carrying. Okay, this 84 times 4. Well, 4 times 4 is 4, 8, 12, 16. 16. So write down a 6, but carry a 1. Then you do the multiply again. 8 multiply 4. 8, 16, 24, 32. 32. Plus this 1. 33. Woo. Okay, let's go to the next one. 9 times 9 is 81. So write down a 1, carry the 8. Then 2 times 9 is 18. 9, 18. 2 times 9 is 18. But then we have to add this 8. So 8 plus 8 is 16. Carry the 1. Add 1 plus 1. 2. Yeah. So all I just did was 9 times 2 is 18. But then you have to plus that number we carried. So we get 26. So I'm going to write down the 6, but carry the 2. Okay, now let's see here. We're going to do 9 times 8. 9 times 8 is like 72. Then we're going to add this number that I carried, and I carried a 2. So when I add 72 and 2, I get 74. So I write down the 4, but then I carry the 7. So let's see, this would be 9 times 3. 9 times 3 is 9, 18, 27. 27. So 9 times 3 is 27, but then you have to add this 7. So that's 7 plus 7, 14. Carry the 1. Add 1 plus 2 is 34. So I'm going to write down 4. And if there was another number to carry onto, then I would write the 3 on top of that number. But we've run out of numbers to multiply, so I'm not going to carry this 3. I'm just going to write it 3. So my answer is 34,461. Okay. Let's slide over to the right and look at this thing with zeros. It says the lazy way to multiply stuff with lots of zeros at the end. It says multiply the stuff without the zeros. Count how many zeros total. Throw on that many zeros on the right of your answer. Okay, so first let's just multiply the stuff without the zeros. And this is from your homework. It's a copy and paste. Okay, it says 800 times 900. Well, first we're just going to do 8 times 9. And remember that dot means multiply also. Okay, so 8 times 9 is 72. But then it says count how many zeros you have total. So out of these zeros, I have 2 here and 2 here. So that's 4 zeros. Step 3 says throw on that many zeros to the right of your answer. So we have 72, and then we're going to add on 4 zeros. 720,000. Woohoo! Okay, let's do it for this number on the right. First, we're just going to look at the stuff without the 0. So 35 times 8. And then we need to actually multiply that. And that has more, it's like a 2-digit number times, it's 2 things times 1 thing. So I think I'm going to go up and down like 4th grade and say 35 times 8 this way. Okay, so we say 5 times 8 is 40. So I put a 0, carry the 4. 8 times 3, 8, 16, 24. Plus this 4 on top, 28. Then let's count how many zeros we have. There's 1 0 from the 350, 1 from the 8. That makes 2 zeros. The last step says throw those zeros on the right. So that 280, we're going to throw 2 more zeros on it. And we get 28,000. Yeah. Okay. Let's slide over and do this one that we hadn't touched, the times 30. Okay. First, we just multiply the normal stuff. 3286 and 3. So we're not going to multiply by 30. We're going to try and use a trick here. So we're going to say 3286 times 3. So we're not going to multiply that way. Instead, we're just going to drop off the 0 and see what happens. Okay, let's multiply. 6 times 3, 6, 12, 18. So write down an 8, carry a 1. 3 times 8, 8, 16, 24. Plus that 1 above makes 25. So write down a 5 and carry a 2. Okay, now we're on 3 times 2, 6. Plus that 2 you carried, 8. And 8, I don't have to carry anything. If it was like 18, I'd write down an 8 and carry a 1. But it was just 8. Okay, and then lastly, 3 times 3, 9. Okay, so we've just done step 1 where you multiply the stuff without the zeros. Step 2 says count how many zeros there are. There's 1 0. Step 3 says put that 1 0 to the right. So our answer is no longer 9858. It's 9858 0. Hey, you're cool.